The Engero Tales, Tales of the Soul. The Legend of Kintu Nambi. In the distant past, when the earth was still new and untouched, there were no kingdoms, no people, no drums beating or songs sung, only a deep, endless silence. Yet, within this vast emptiness, a solitary man existed. His name was Kintu. He had no family, no home built by hands, no tools but nature itself. He drank from rivers, ate wild fruits, and slept beneath trees. His only companion was a single cow, beautiful and loyal, who gave him milk and warmth. At times, when hunger grew wild and the fruits were scarce, Kintu even ate dried cow dung, not out of madness, but survival, believing that what came from his cow could never harm him. Kintu spoke to her as one would to a friend, and in his solitude, he found rhythm in the rising sun and comfort in the whispering wind. But high above the clouds, in the spiritual realm of heaven, Gulu's kingdom, the earth was watched. The skies held beings of great light, children of Gulu, the Sky Father, who danced in harmony and sang songs of eternal balance. Yet among them was one whose eyes always wandered below, Nambi. While others marveled at stars and the stillness of the heavens, Nambi was drawn to the untamed world beneath, wild, imperfect, and alive. She was a creature of spirit, yet her heart beat with curiosity for the physical world. While others sang in praise of eternal harmony, Nambi longed for something real, imperfect, alive. One day, with quiet permission from her sister Kayuwinda, the soft-spoken guardian of sky paths and keeper of sacred knowledge, Nambi descended to earth. Her spirit fluttered with wonder and longing, for she had heard whispers of a lone man who lived below in harmony with a single cow. Unlike her other sisters, Kayuwinda did not forbid her. She only said, "Go, but return before the stars change," and with that, Nambi stepped beyond the clouds, to see for herself the man called Kintu. Nambi approached Kintu quietly, her feet barely brushing the earth, cloaked in the morning mist. She hid behind the thick reeds of a riverbank, watching. He was bare-chested, his skin the color of rich soil, his hair coiled like the branches of the acacia. He crouched beside his cow, murmuring to it in a low, familiar rhythm, not as one speaks to a beast, but to a companion. The cow blinked slowly, listening. Nambi's spirit stirred. This man, though alone, moved with a quiet dignity that felt older than time. She had seen stars form and flowers bloom in heaven, but never this kind of connection. Kintu saw her and paused, his hand still resting on the cow's back. She stood at the edge of the reeds, half shadow, half light, a figure both real and unreal. Her eyes glowed faintly, like stars reflected in deep water. Her steps left no trace upon the earth. The wind held its breath. "Who are you?" Kintu asked, his voice low, as if speaking to a dream that might vanish. "I am Nambi, daughter of Gulu," she said, her voice gentle but steady. "I come from the sky." For a moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. The wind whispered through the trees, stirring the leaves with a quiet hush. The cow shifted its weight, lifting its head as if sensing the significance of her words. The earth itself felt alive, listening, waiting. Kintu's eyes searched her face, trying to find truth in the calmness of her gaze. Could she truly be from the sky, the daughter of the great Gulu? Hope and wonder fluttered in his chest, mingled with a cautious fear of what this meeting might bring. They settled beside the riverbank, the soft water rippling around their feet, cool and clear. The cow grazed nearby, her peaceful presence grounding the moment. Nambi spoke of distant stars and endless skies, of silence before song, of a world waiting to be born. As the sun began its slow descent, painting the horizon with hues of gold and purple, time seemed to fold gently around them. They gave way to dusk, and dusk faded into the quiet light of dawn, carrying with it the promise of new beginnings. In that stillness, between earth and sky, between silence and song, a story was beginning, one that would shape the world forever. For the first time, Nambi laughed, a sound born deep within her soul, warm and bright, unlike anything heard in the quiet halls of heaven. It was a laughter that carried the joy of earth and life, free and full of promise. And for the first time, Kintu lifted his gaze beyond mere survival. In that laughter, in that spark of light, he saw something new, a world of possibility stretching out before him. Their hearts reached across the space between them, touching not just with love, but with a shared purpose. It was as if the earth and sky themselves, long separated, had found a way to remember that they were meant to be whole, together once again. When Nambi returned to heaven, the stars still clung softly to her hair, and her smile carried the wild scent of the earth below. She stood before Gulu, the great sky father, keeper of eternal light and ancient law. "I wish to marry Kintu," she declared, her voice calm but full of conviction. "He is a man of the earth, kind, strong in spirit. In him, I saw something the sky cannot give, life, ever unfolding." But Gulu's face darkened with displeasure. His voice rumbled like distant thunder, heavy and unyielding. "You are spirit, born of light. He is soil, bound to dust. Would you give up immortality, the endless sky, for this simple cowherder?" Nambi did not falter. Her eyes, bright as the first light of dawn, held steady with a quiet strength that neither pride nor fear could shake. Curious but firm, Gulu chose to test the man his daughter loved. He summoned his children, powerful beings of sky and spirit, and said, "If this earth man dares to unite with one of heaven's own," Gulu proclaimed, his voice echoing across the clouded halls of the sky, "then let him be weighed by the impossible." His words rippled through the heavens like waves through starlight. These would not be trials of brute strength alone, but of wisdom, patience, and the quiet power of truth, the kind of trials that peel back the soul and reveal what lies beneath. And so, the Sky Father gathered the children of heaven and said, "Let the earth man be tested. If he is worthy, let him rise. But if he falters, let the sky remain close to him, forever." Down on earth, Kintu tended to his cow as he always did, with patience and rhythm, humming softly to the beat of life beneath his feet. The sky above was wide and still, yet something in the air had changed. The birds grew silent. The wind paused mid-breath. Even the cow lifted its head, ears twitching. Then it came. A shimmer in the sky, like heat-bending light, a doorway of air and spirit. From it descended a being made of light and cloud, neither man nor mist. The voice that followed was not loud, but it carried through stone and marrow. "Kintu, man of the earth. You are summoned by Gulu, father of the sky. Rise." Kintu stood slowly, unsure if he was dreaming or dying. But the wind tugged at him like a guide, and the earth beneath his feet did not let go, it merely let him rise. He gathered nothing. He carried no tools. Only his breath and his heartbeat. As he ascended, the world beneath him fell away, hills folding into valleys, rivers shrinking to threads. Clouds curled around him like ancestral smoke, and in time, he stood upon the high halls of heaven, where light has no shadow, and time waits for no one. There stood Gulu, vast and still as a mountain. Beside him, Nambi, her face full of hope and worry. And Kintu, silent but steady, bowed not in fear, but in readiness. Kintu's journey into legend began with a trial that tested the very core of his being, to survive a long, cold night in the endless sky where no fire could burn and no food could nourish. Cast into the void between the stars by Gulu himself, Kintu faced biting cold and gnawing hunger. Alone, wrapped only in the strength of his will, he whispered ancient earth songs to the twinkling stars. They listened silently, their faint blinking like a silent promise of endurance. Through this first trial, Kintu proved that spirit and resolve could outlast even the cruelest of nights. But the challenges were far from over. Gulu led Kintu next to an open land, filled with 100 cows, identical in every way, indistinguishable by shape, scent, or color. Here lay the second trial, to find his own among these look-alike cows. Closing his eyes, Kintu knelt and whistled the soft, familiar call he had always used to call his cow. Suddenly, a gentle bee appeared, buzzing low and circling one calm cow with a knowing hum. Guided by this subtle sign, Kintu's eyes opened just in time to see his own cow step forward, serene and sure. The spirits murmured approval. With this, he passed the second test, a testament to faith in the quiet, unseen signs of the world. The third trial tested Kintu's ingenuity and patience. He was tasked to fetch water from the river, but not just any water, and not just any container. He had to carry it in a woven basket without spilling a single drop. Time and again, water slipped through the weave like liquid light escaping through fingers. Just as despair crept in, a spider appeared, descending from the branches with gleaming silk. It spun a delicate web across the basket's weave, strengthening it. With gratitude, Kintu accepted this gift of nature's craft. Step by careful step, he returned to the sky, the basket brimming with water. This trial taught him that help often comes in the smallest forms and the quietest gestures. The fourth trial was a test of provision and generosity, to feed all of Gulu's children, but without any actual food. The spirit sat expectant, bowls held out but empty, hungry eyes fixed on him. Kintu turned to his only source, his faithful cow, and milked her carefully. Passing the bowls from hand to hand, the children drank deeply and were filled. Some, it is said, dreamed for the very first time that night. Through this act, Kintu showed that sustenance sometimes comes not from abundance but from the care and sharing of what little we have. The fifth trial was a display of strength not in muscle but in spirit and faith, to move a mountain rock that no spirit could budge. The great stone loomed before Kintu like a fallen star, stubborn and unmoved. But instead of pushing with brute force, Kintu bowed his head and prayed. The earth beneath him cracked softly, a whisper breaking the silence, and the rock slid aside as if carried by invisible hands. Here, Kintu proved that sometimes, the greatest strength lies in patience, humility, and trust in the unseen forces of the earth. Few remember the sixth trial, for it is a quiet one, to restore the sacred drum of silence. Gulu placed a broken drum in Kintu's hands, its skywood splintered, the skin torn and lifeless. Kintu sat beneath a tree, listening deeply to the wind, tracing the grain of trees, and feeling the hum of silence itself. With reverence and memory, he rebuilt the drum through spirit alone. When he struck it once, the clouds froze mid-drift, and even Gulu's court fell silent, held in awe. The seventh trial was a feast, but a heavy one. Gulu locked Kintu in a hut filled with baskets upon baskets of food, mountains of millet, roasted meats, roots, and sky fruits. Eat it all, Gulu commanded, alone. Overwhelmed by the endless food and solitude, Kintu bowed his head. But then, from a crack in the floor, ants emerged, whispering in tiny clicks. A hole opened in the earth beneath, and the ants helped him carry the food away, little by little, until the hut was empty at dawn. This trial taught Kintu that no burden is meant to be borne alone, and that community and cooperation lighten even the greatest loads. Finally, the last trial beckoned, to bring fire from stone, to light a flame without spark or kindling. Kintu wandered among the mountain rocks, placing his hands upon their cold surfaces and closing his eyes. In the silence, the earth responded, a rock cracked open, revealing smoldering embers glowing deep within. From the bones of the earth itself, Kintu called forth fire, completing his trials with the birth of light from stone. It was a sacred flame, one that symbolized resilience, transformation, and the sacred bond between humankind and the earth. Gulu sat silent. His children, beings of light, watched the earth man who had passed every trial. Kintu had shown strength, yes, but also kindness to the smallest creatures, reverence for silence, and patience where others would rage. Gulu remained silent for a long moment, his gaze steady and heavy with meaning. Then, his voice broke the quiet. "You may take Nambi," he said at last. "But listen well, do not return here again. And whatever happens, never let your brother, Walambe, follow you to earth. He is not meant for this place." Kintu and Nambi bowed their heads in solemn promise. In part 2. Do you want to know why Kintu and Nambi must never return to heaven, no matter what? What secret was hidden from them? Did Walambe truly follow them to earth, or was it something worse? The truth is older than time itself. Coming soon in The Legend of Kintu and Nambi Part 2, The Curse Beneath the Stars. Subscribe to Engero Tales today.